So if you've been sent this video or you've seen it online, it's because you've got a subscap strain or rotator cuff issue. We'll broaden it out, and this will just be quite a basic video, just explaining things. So the basics of it, what we want to start doing is slowly start training up that subscap to obviously build up the strength and re-engage that so that it's not at risk of re-injuring it. Also, we want to address the root cause of it, most likely your posterior rotator cuff muscles, so infraspinatus, supraspinatus and your teres minor not working properly, forcing the load on the front. So it's a big problem nowadays where everything's in front of you, so hands forward, and then also a lot of people like chest day, so they neglect the back muscles. But we want to start off with a few basic exercises. So when we go through it, I want to make sure your shoulder blade is locked in place back whenever you do any of these exercises. Just spend a couple minutes or so before you do any of the exercises going through and just practicing locking it in place, bringing it shoulder back like that. That is how it should be. You shouldn't be able to go any further. That is your shoulder blade locked in position. Okay, first exercise, and what I'd suggest is go through these as kind of like a baby step. Complete one. If that's too easy and there's no pain, go to number 2, 3, so on and so forth. So first one, shoulder blade locked in place. That's serratus anterior. We'll go into that another time. That is locked in place, but basically lock it back. And all you're going to do is shoulder down, elbow out, bent like this. And all you're going to do, again, if you look here, I'm not forward, I'm locked in place down. You're just going to apply pressure to your stomach. Obviously, if there's no pain there, continue, hold for 10 seconds, and then you can rest, have 5 seconds, and then same again, repeat again. So that's the start of it. That's a very basic one. If that's too easy, you then go to the next step. So hand onto the other shoulder. Again, same thing, shoulder blade locked in place. My shoulder is back, I'm not forward, shoulder blade back. And all you're going to do horizontally, apply pressure down onto the other shoulder. Making sure, if you look here, making sure that that shoulder doesn't come up, shoulder blade locked in place, apply pressure down, and that's engaging that subscap. Again, 10 seconds on, 5 seconds rest. If there's no pain, you can then move on to the next step. So this isn't going to just progress like as quick as this. This might take a few days to move on to the next one, but that's fine. It's a process, as we always say. Next one, shoulder blade, again, in position, roll it back, lock it in. Arm goes behind your back here. Obviously, some of you might not be able to do this, so that's why you go back to this one. So shoulder, bare, shoulder blade back, locked in place. And what you're going to do is you're just going to lift your hand off of your back, just like this. Back and through. Rotating through. I'll see if you can see it better. Out and back. Not bringing your shoulder forward, so lock it here. Out and back. And this is going to start training it again. They're the 3 basic ones to start. 1, engage your subscap, and 2, slowly start to build up the strength before you start applying load to it. So you've got them basic ones. What do you want to combine this with? So you want to start training your infraspinatus and your supraspinatus and your teres minor. Mainly infraspinatus and your teres minor. How do you do that? So I'm just going to walk over here and grab a trusty resistance band. Very, very basic ones to start with. All you're going to do, get your shoulders locked in position. So again, both of them back, posterior tilt. Elbows out like this. You don't want them tucked in, you want them flared a little bit, but you want to imagine you've got a pole up your arm and they're not moving. And all you're going to do is rotate out, and you can start off by doing holds. Again, shoulder blade is locked in place. I'm not flaring out or coming through. Shoulder blade locked in place, and it is purely the infraspinatus. So locked here, hold for 10 seconds, you can then relax. If that's too easy or you can feel like you can progress, you're then gonna, same position, lock it in, then you're gonna start doing rotation, the repetitions. But with this, you're not just flinging it and going through, it's slow and controlled, because your rotator cuffs are stabilizers, and they're stabilizing it in place, going through. Next step for that, if pain isn't there obviously, Straighten the arms out a bit further so there's more leverage on it. Again, shoulder blades locked in place, and you're coming through and holding there. I can show you a little bit better an angle. Locked in place, back, coming through, hold, there. It's going to put a lot more strain, it's going to be a lot heavier, or it's going to feel a lot heavier, but again, it's that progression. That's going to do your infraspinatus and a little bit your teres minor. Okay, so those exercises are just targeting the muscle and actually training them. But ultimately, the whole point of rotator cuff rehab is to stabilise that scapula, because that is their primary role. Obviously, they've got internal, external rotation and different movements that they do, but their primary role and the most important role is stabilising that scapula. So, for example, when you are doing a bench press, it keeps your shoulder blades locked in place so that you don't put all that load on the front and then you don't strain your shoulder or tear your pec, for example. So, what we want to do, same as kind of before, same as the first one, get a bit of tension on the band, shoulder blade locked in place, and all you're going to do is come through, keeping that distance there. You might get to a certain point and it might be a bit painful, but obviously that's where you might progress too soon. But you're going to come through and you're going to bring it down, and all you're focusing on is that scapula is locked in place. Coming through, up here. If you look at my shoulders now, you don't want to get to this point and that start happening, that little shrug, because that is where you're engaging your traps. And you just go through and bring it around there. If it's easier, what you can do is start off on a wall, same position, and going up and down the wall, just like that. And just you're getting used to that scapula getting locked in place, and you're doing all these different movements. Okay, and final exercise that I'd advise to do, this is very basic, don't get me wrong, there's thousands out there, but this is just 3 basic ones that you can do from home, just with some bands. So, YWTs. The advanced version of this will be lying face down on the floor, but if you have had a subscap strain, that might be a little bit too soon. So what you're going to do is you're going to do it against a wall. It's going to look weird if someone walks in on you doing it, but there you go. You're going to go face against the wall, and basically you're just going to mimic a Y, and then a W, and then a T. So if you come here like this, you're going to go Y, W, T. Come back through a W, Y, W, T. So very basic, it's not really going to feel too strenuous. If you have had a strain, then it will be quite uncomfortable, but you then want to progress it to the floor. But this is a very beginner's guide, so that'll be in another video. So there's the basics of what to do if you've got a subscapularis strain. So start off with that, then progress it further. But I would advise going to see a specialist beforehand just to get that diagnosis, because the last thing, especially with your shoulder joint, you don't want to go away and do exercises that's going to irritate it.